Hi, Scott.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Can you change our label?
Okay, watch how I do this.
I know how to do it, but
Oh.
you're sitting in the better position to do it.
Okay.
I know how to do it. Hey, Miss Erin.
Hello.
Hello, my friend.
Hi, Sarah. How
Hi,
are you
Sarah.
feeling today?
I mean,
Oh. How's everybody feeling today?
I know.
Not great, not great. How are you two feeling?
I'm better. She's worse.
It's not, I'm negative now. I just have a cold.
Yeah, I know it hangs on for a while too.
Erin, I love your virtual background that's not virtual, like it's the real thing, but it's virtual. That's awesome.
My favorite part is when people are like, oh my gosh, look at the high school. And then they're like, why are those two people not moving the entire time?
Hi, Keith.
Awesome.
I'm actually standing behind her. I'm one of the people not moving.
Good.
More of the same behavior, huh?
That's me.
That's you.
I've hardly ever seen you sit still, so that can't be you.
Nicole, how are things out your way?
I don't know if she heard me.
She did.
Oh,
We're greeting everybody, but we're waiting for folks to sign on. They're coming in nicely.
we're waiting for our door.
Waiting for our door.
Oh,
There we go.
hmm. Are you, is there still,
Is there still?
I don't know why I'm getting,
I don't know why I'm getting.
we were just on.
We
here.
were just on here. Do you have two devices logged in, Kathy? Kathy?
Oh,
Oh,
you're not logged in, are you?
you're not logged in, are you?
No, we literally.
No,
just
we
got
literally just got off.
You want to
10 minutes.
You want 10 minutes?
Hmm?
Hmm?
You want to
You want to?
Okay,
Okay.
we'll switch to
We'll
Ellen.
switch to Ellen.
I'm gonna get off.
I'm gonna get off.
Oh, now wait a minute.
Oh, now wait a
Why
minute.
end you
Why
guys?
end you guys did?
You'll kick us all out.
Kick us all out.
We can't do that.
We can't do that.
Try hitting
Let me
mute
think.
and then unmute. See what happens.
See what happens.
Hmm?
Hmm?
Try muting yourself
Try
and
muting
then
yourself
unmuting.
and
See
then
what
unmuting.
happens.
See what happens.
Kristen, try muting
Kristen,
yourself.
try muting
because
yourself.
You keep lighting up.
You keep lighting up.
So me, sorry.
Talk now, Ellen. Or Kathy.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm not. Okay. So turning off and on always does work, right?
No, Steve might have been on to something there.
So since I have a couple of you tech people on here, I've got a question. So took my granddaughter out to lunch last week. And while we were out, she decided she wanted to make a video, some short videos of our outing. And I think she made like 3 or 4, 20, 30-second video clips. And I got on my on our YouTube channel, which is actually partnerships. And those video clips showed up. How is that possible? Does anybody know?
She made them with your device?
my iPhone, but well, doesn't matter. I went in and made them private, but when I saw them, but I thought, for somebody that didn't know that, if they made a video nobody else should see, that wouldn't be good.
Somehow your account is linked from your phone.
That's never happened before. Well, she's 9, so she probably knows how to upload it to my account.
I'm gonna give it another 30 seconds and then we're gonna go for it. What did Dan say in the chat?
I'm looking. Oh,
Mhm. Hi Denise, how are you?
Hi there. Sorry, I'm a little late.
That's all
There you
right.
go.
We're giving folks an extra minute or two to sign in.
Hope you guys are feeling better.
It's
Working
been-
on it.
Been slow. It's been slow. Sorry for the change in plans, but you all are safer this way for sure. Absolutely. Well, why don't we go ahead and jump in here and we'll start with introductions like always, because the dedication of the total group never wavers, but the specific membership at any one gathering is always a bit different. So let's make sure everybody knows each other. Scott, why don't you go ahead and start?
So I am Scott Bennett and I'm the Reynoldsburg High School principal.
Okay, Aaron?
Erin Miguel, Peer Development and Wellbeing for Upper Arlington.
Sarah Loken.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Loken with Community Shelter Board, and I serve on the board for partnership.
Yep, thanks. Kristen?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Bordage. I'm the Assistant Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction at Olentangy Schools.
All right. Steve?
Steve Shapiro, and at least for a couple more months, the leader of experiential learning in Bexley schools.
All right, good. Nicole?
I'm
Oh,
Nicole
let me just
Brothers.
say he's retiring. He's not being asked to leave. He's retiring.
I'm Nicole Crothers. I'm the Assistant Director of Professional Learning in Olentangy Schools.
Keith?
Keith Pomeroy, Chief Academic Officer for Upper Arlington.
All right, Brian?
Brian Ornema with a new title of Chief of Academic Affairs at Buckeye Valley.
How did that change your work?
It's the same workload. It just, there's less guilt as I have more.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know what less guilt feels like. We'll have to talk about that sometime. Emmy?
I'm Emmy Beeson. I'm with Partnerships.
All right, Denise?
Hi, I'm Denise Lutz, Chief Technology Officer, Upper Arlington City Schools. Hi, Nicole Carruthers. I haven't seen you in a million years.
Dan Good, behind the curtain like Oz.
I'm Dan Good. It's nice to see Scott Bennett again, reconnect with him. Congratulations, Brian, on that title, well deserved. I work at the ESC and we're one of the key sponsors for the Summer Institute.
Yes, indeed you are. Thank you so much for the support that you approved, you and David Varda, and Dr. Goodney, we're very grateful. All right, so today is March 20th. That means 4 months from today, we will be in the thick of it. We'll be in day 2. And so we've had some really productive preliminary planning and arrangements for the main folks that will be headlining, and we're certainly ahead of where we were in that regard this time last year. That said, I'd look at this and say from this day forward, this is really go time. And as everybody knows, really between now and the 1st of May, or at most the 15th of May, but really between now and May 1, I think should be a time that we're all thinking as creatively as we possibly can about getting as many of our educators registered as possible, and especially keeping in mind the advantages of the early bird deadline. So whatever you can do in that regard. Emmy, I know you wanted to reinforce that point, and I'd like you to take the lead for a little while here, getting some of the comments that you wanted to for our marketing folks, and also talking about the meeting that we had from 12 to 1 today.
Oh, yeah, so good. Well, I guess the first thing is reiterating that early bird discount for all of your districts, because the next price point break that would be the equivalent of the early bird means you need to bring 50 or more team members. Most districts maybe are not going to be at that level, so that early bird is really where you guys want to show up. So hopefully that is done or will be done right now. But so we were supposed to be meeting in person, and now we have a creative marketing team, and so now I get homework from the creative marketing team of the things that I'm supposed to be capturing, right, for this work. And so had we been at Kathy and Ellen's, you would have walked in to find me with my cell phone on video selfie mode, walking up to you to say, we're getting ready to start the steering committee meeting for Summer Institute on July 19th and 20th. And Erin, why did you come last year and why are you coming back, right? Like this would be the interview that we are doing. But now this call is being recorded. So guess what? That like, what's your one line or your 30 seconds of this is why I serve on this committee, or this is why it's important for me to bring a team to the Summer Institute. Who wants to go? It's good. This is being recorded. So we can splice it.
I think it is. Kristen, I think it. Yours. Are you? Oh, you're muted.
Emmy, you want each of us to provide a line or two for the marketing team?
Yeah, whoever. Everybody doesn't have to.
Okay, so why we serve on this committee?
Sure.
Why
Or
we
why you
like,
want to bring a team.
why we want to bring a team. Okay. I'll go. I just need to collect my thoughts.
Okay, so I'll
I'll share.
You may come back to you, Kristen.
Do we put it in the chat?
No, I
Would
want
that
to
be
see.
helpful? Oh, you want this like on video?
Yeah, like right now.
Okay, here it is.
Okay,
you ready?
We're still getting feedback. Are you guys hearing it? Okay. Emmy, mute yours. Okay, now we're not getting it. I don't know why.
I
So
can walk out like that.
Okay. I'm gonna mute us. Emmy, you can unmute, I think, and I'll mute.
All right. There we go. So Kristen, do you want to go now, or do you want me to come back to get somebody else?
No, I'll go. I'll start us off. Okay, this is just totally on the fly.
Totally.
All right. Do you want me to do like I'm being interviewed? Like, hi, I'm Kristen Bordage. No?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I just need a few more directions. I didn't know how formal this had to be because marketing's involved. So, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Bordage, and I'm the Assistant Director of Secondary Curriculum and Instruction at Olentangy Schools. And we are excited to bring a team to the second year of the Authentic Learning Institute hosted at Upper Arlington and in partnership with lots of groups. We're excited to bring a team because of what we observed last year, which was authentic participation and engagement and interest in looking at curriculum, instruction, and context in new ways. So for us, it was the best outcome of a conference, which was true collaboration around the idea of how small changes can make a big difference when it comes to student learning and engagement and authentic learning experiences. So we're psyched to be back, and we just are thrilled to have a team have that same kind of experience that we had the first year.
Awesome. Thank you. Who's next? Brian.
So I was making, is this separate from, because I was making that one that I was sending next week. So is this separate?
There-
Well,
there's,
Emmy,
there's so much social media, it can be separate. Just one line. What are you looking forward to?
Brian Orma, the Chief of Academic Affairs at Buckeye Valley. Last year, we had an awesome time with our instructional coaches and administrative team. I'm looking forward to it again this year so we can build on our momentum and have a collaborative team spirit going into the new school year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can I get one more? Look, Keith put his background up. He's like prepared for the interview. Did you see that just happen?
Look, if I was gonna get put on the spot, I gotta change that from just
Well,
greeting to
I wasn't going to put you on the spot, but since you put up that beautiful background, I think you're next, Keith.
Nicole Carruthers would be fine with me be putting on it. She'd be all right with that as well.
We don't need two Olentangy. Kristen Bordosh did just fine.
There you go. Keith, you're it.
Keith Pomeroy, Chief Academic Officer. We are excited to host again this year the Summer Institute. Honestly, for us, we're defining our profile of an engaged learner that is finalized, and we cannot think of a better way for our teachers to re-engage with how curriculum can be interdisciplinary, focused on real world skills, and actually bring joy back to what we do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys are great sports. And I don't know if this is more or less painful than me following you around the house with a phone in real life. So thank you so much for doing that. Kathy and Ellen, do you want to add anything before we talk about our featured speakers?
I just want to see if anybody else wants to chime in with a comment for you, because I think you got as many as you need as a minimum, but I don't want to shut down anybody's wonderful comments. So anybody else want to jump in? Welcome, Jen Leahy. You got in after we were doing introductions, but we're glad to have you.
This is, when you said anybody else want to jump in, it's like when you're facilitating in a workshop and you're looking for an answer. And so everybody does this. Look away, right?
Nicole took it to the next level and shut off her camera. Did you catch that? Like, gee.
That wasn't intentional, Keith.
Nicole, I don't know you very well at all. However, the fact that there are 3 people who've already given you a really tough time makes me know I'm going to like you a bunch.
I know. And I know Scott Bennett. I'm surprised he hasn't chimed in yet.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's been a while since I've seen you, Nicole. I wasn't ready to just jump right in there and start burying you right away,
Before Emmy goes to the other topic, let me say that those of you that did not jump in with comments today, you are definitely welcome to contribute videos along the way, because we're going to keep running stuff on social media. And we have gotten some really wonderful contributions so far. And I want you to feel free to do that, but also to reach out to a teacher or two that was with you last year that might be able to give us some great comments. We got multiple videos from Talmadge that are great, and some are administrative, but some are teachers. So we welcome those, and we'll up until the time that the event occurs. All right, Emmy, back to you.
No, just have the opportunity to meet with the featured speakers, our keynote speakers earlier today. And if you were a part of this last year, you remember Buddy Berry talking about how nobody called him more than Ellen. Like, he couldn't believe how many times he had to talk to her. Well, then today we get on this call and Russ Qualia says, nobody writes me more than Ellen, except maybe my mom. But every single person talked about really the care and effort that's being put into this to make sure that the work is really seamless, that it's really aligned to the conference goals. And, certainly Kathy and Ellen and Steve, like, you guys can chime in here, but the entire conversation where everybody shared, this is what I'm planning on bringing to the conference. This is what I'm thinking about. Every message was really strongly aligned to the conference, strongly aligned to each other, their philosophies, their own personal hopes of what they want to take away, or what they hope people take away from the conference, like resoundingly, a conference where you come and have a good time and then leave, but it doesn't change your practice is not worth doing. They just said that repeatedly. So how do we engage with people prior to the conference? How do we engage with people after the conference? I just listened to them talk about the heart of teaching, listening to the voice of students. What is the speaker's name who's coming with Russ?
Lisa Landy.
Lisa Landy. She said, if adults could have figured out how to fix the problems we have in education and make it more engaging for kids, we would have done it already. If we could do it by ourselves, but we can't. And so we must invite our students into this conversation with us, which, has long been one of my lines is, this education is what we do with kids, not what we do to them. And all of these speakers really brought that. It was very powerful hour. We got off the call and I just looked at Kathy and Ellen and said, whoa, oh my gosh, whoa, this is going to be amazing. So Steve, if you want to share anything else, or Kathy and Ellen, but after listening to that hour, I'm so excited about the Summer Institute.
No, I agree. That was a virtual room on fire.
Yeah. We recorded it purposefully, and we will send you the recording. And I encourage you, really take an hour and listen to the call, because it will get you so psyched. And I think it was, for me, it was just really affirming that we made really good choices of the pieces that we wanted to put together. Those folks are so bright, but they're so without ego. They were so eager to listen to each other and excited to be part of a collective effort. And the out of state people, I'm pretty sure, are going to be there from start to finish, even though they're not booked the entire every minute, but they want to be part of the overall experience. And so they're coming in early and staying late. And it was really, really exciting. I think each of you will really enjoy listening to it a great deal.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and I was going to say, as your agenda also notes, Precious is coming back and in a more significant and more varied role with us. She and I and Kathy have had several conversations and we'll continue to talk, but she is getting some other students to be involved with us, and she'll have good visibility, and it'll be a leadership opportunity for her that builds upon last year. So
Scott, you might not know who we're talking about because you weren't there last year, right? So Annalise, Corbin, and Steve put together a panel of kids last year from high school down to elementary who talked about their authentic learning experiences. And by the time Precious was done talking, I think everybody else could have sat down, and people were so impressed, understandably, with not only her experiences, but her insight, her ability to talk about the power of those. And so it was, I think, on a lot of evaluations last year, reflection papers, people talked about how much they enjoyed hearing from her. And so we're trying to have more student voice this year, and Precious, of course, would be the first to come to mind. And so she's got what, two sessions planned?
Yeah.
She'll do 2 breakouts with students and some of their, are they OSU people?
Yeah, to be clarified further, but yes, I believe so.
Okay. And so we're really excited about that, but I just wanted to add about the hour with the keynote speakers. I think it was clear from what they had to say, they had never experienced the opportunity to actually talk to the other keynote speakers. You know, they're all people who have tremendous experience at being either the keynote speaker or among the keynote speakers at national and international conferences. But it was pretty much they book them, they give them what they're going to talk about, and then they show up, do it, and leave. And so, as Emmy said, Ellen has spent a lot of time with them, but to have them all together talking today, it will the common threads that are going to go through each of those sessions. You've got to watch the video, because I'm always excited about the Summer Institute, but after hearing them talk, I'm just so looking forward to this. Then when David Brown talked at the end about the final, David Brown, who's with the Harmony Project, and his ability to articulate kind of everything that everybody had talked about and kind of synthesize what he will share in that final presentation. Michelle Pludger from High Tech High was practically jumping up and down in her seat. And it was clear that she was not flying back to California before that final presentation. So whatever we can do to get people to not bug out early from the Institute, they'll be really sorry if they're not there.
Mhm.
With that, I want to add this one piece because it's a thank you to you guys. You know, to hear these national and international speakers say, I have never been part of a conference like this, never been part of a conference so well organized, so dedicated to alignment of its theme. Like they repeatedly, people said that. And then Annalise shared, having, been a part of a lot of things, that this is the most organized, put together, well thought out experience that she has been a part of. And because the logistics are taken care of, then it's easy for the inspiration to rise to the top and for people to really enter into the moment. And it really was a huge aha for me listening to them talk about, when we talk about authentic learning in a classroom and we talk about authentic leadership, that it's really bringing the people with the expertise, bringing the kids into the moment, right? But you guys have been that. You and your teams and the people in our larger planning committee who have come to the table to say, this is what's going on in the field. This is what people need. And then how do we work really hard on the logistics so that it just looks like magic the day of? To hear Annalise say that, I told them when we got off the phone, I said, oh my gosh, they thought that we had this all put together and it was awesome, right? Like I felt like I was running around with my pants on fire leading up to that, but it looked smooth on the outside. And, you guys need that. Thank you. It's the steering committee. It's the larger planning committee. It's the teams that you bring into this work that allowed all these logistics to play out. And I think when international speakers hear that and compliment on you, like, thank you so much. Thank you.
I think the other thing too that struck me was, in our work, and I'm sure you're all the same way, you don't want to just like fly in, do an hour presentation and then leave and not know what happens. And that's never been how we ever wanted to work. And so that was a thing that they were really complimentary about, that this wasn't just a 2-day event and then nothing happens afterwards. And so as we talk about breakout presenters and the times that we have together, like with the team planning time and so forth, any suggestions that you have, anything that we can talk about between now and then to make sure that people don't just come 2 days, feel good, then go back and nothing happens. And so I think that was a hallmark last year. We just, any way we can kind of lift that up so that people walk away and understand that is important.
Absolutely. Emmy, I'm gonna ask you also to continue facilitating that update section, because those are largely items where you've had a lot of involvement.
Okay, well, Kathy, you might want to talk anything about registration in Sketch, but I can do some of the other pieces. The social media plan has been amazing. GP Creative is working really hard to have probably 3 or so posts each week moving out around both partnerships in general, but specifically the big push toward Summer Institute. And so I feel like we're in, for us, we are in uncharted territory of developing this work and bringing it out. But as said earlier, different districts have sent in video of, you know, why they're excited, why they're going to go back. And so I think like we have some really authentic things to push out in our social media. The ESC of Central Ohio continues to be absolutely amazing, both in support of putting on the conference, but also just in being able to get the work done. You know, Sketch is running through the ESC this year. They've been able to connect the registration to Sketch so that it's not like 2 separate pieces the way it was in Frontline last year. It seems to be pretty seamless so far. And really, anytime we ask a question, how do we do this? We need help or support doing this. The ESC has really been phenomenal in doing that. Sponsorship information is out. We have a few coming in. I'm not sure where we are as far as like publicly or not, but we do have sponsors coming in. A couple of you have been really amazing to take the sponsorship information and push it out to your vendors, to people that you know, that you work with. And, you know, even if vendors, because honestly, people have been really responsive, have said back, you know, it's out of our budget cycle. We didn't plan for this, but we're interested, what, you know, let's talk about it. And then we're able to find out when their budget cycle is so that we can try to stay in that conversation. The other piece to really know about related to sponsorship is that if your district is able to secure a sponsorship for the Summer Institute, not only would the vendor receive all the recognition that's listed in our sponsorship package, but we will apply 50% of their sponsorship toward your registration. So if you're looking for a way, I need to cut some cost, I want to bring some more people, but I know we have a vendor, we have a business in our community that would sponsor the event. All you have to do is, you know, bring them to the table, coordinate that, and I'll help walk you through that. Any questions on those pieces? Comments, thoughts?
Brian, so Brian gets the door prize for
He gets the gold star.
getting his administrative team registering. I don't know that everybody has, but a number of people have registered. And because this is the first year we've done registration through Sketch, did you notice anything, Brian, that seemed awkward or didn't work?
No, everyone said it was fairly smooth. So the
Good.
only clarification, a few people were confused just about the payment section, but that
Yeah,
was easily clarified.
good. And I'm meeting with some people from the ESC on Friday just to kind of get on to look at the back end again and make sure that I think it's easy for people to register. I'm anxious to see how easy it is for the ESC to track when it comes time to figure out, because well, I don't have to go through all that, but I just want to make sure that it's easy for them to track. But certainly registration is easier this year than it was last. And it's getting people into, they really didn't get into Sketch until probably right before the conference last year, just to see the program. And So as Emmy said, April 14th, I think, is the early bird date.
Yes.
And so whatever you can do to let your people know in your districts, you know, unless you're planning on bringing 50 or more UA. Bexley, where are you?
Bexley just put that they have 43 teachers and principals plus some additional folks, so they might hit their 50.
They might hit their 50.
Alright.
And one of the things I'm pretty sure, and I'll talk with the ESC. I know we're going to have a situation where some people register like at full price and then some other people put in that they're early bird or whatever. And I'm pretty sure the ESC can just find that PO, count up how many people and
Yeah.
bill you for the right amount. So I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Here's my other question, Emmy, about early birds, so just so you can answer this and people can be aware. Does the early bird rate apply as long as the PO comes in time, even if the names don't all match up yet?
So I know you asked me, but I'm going to defer to Kathy because last year people had the option to like call the ESC with a purchase order, send it in and say, okay, we're going to have a team of 25 people. This year, each individual person has to register in Sketch. So I'm not sure what that would look like other than if you arrange it maybe behind the scenes with us, like we have the purchase order number, we know what it is, and we can try to make an arrangement on the back end with how the ESC would record that.
And I'll on Friday, I'll talk with
Okay.
Lori Dre and if Dan's on the call about that. But I think what they'll see is because some people, like bless you, Buckeye Valley, are registering with a PO number. I noticed that. There are other people who've gotten into Sketch already, but haven't followed through with the registration yet, probably because they don't have the PO number. And so it's possible, you know, they could look at the date of when they register. Because I think there are going to be people that go clear through the registration and don't have the PO number that will go back in. Either they'll put it in. I think they can put it in this
Dan
time.
just put in the chat that they can figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll figure that out. I think as many people as we can give the early bird rate to, we'll do that.
Yeah, and I would just say with that, just like last year, I mean, the system is built for mass whatever, but anybody who has a problem or a particular issue, we worked and the ESC worked amazingly well with districts to accommodate specific issues. So just reach out to one of us.
Yeah, I think the most important things right now for all of you that represent districts is just to maximize your outreach to your own people as soon as you can. Maximize your outreach to people you know in other districts, whether they're in Ohio or they're not. When I look at the folks on this screen, you all have lots and lots of great contacts. And it might have struck you at this point that it was too early to reach out until we had all the materials in place, but now's the time to move on things and to try to engage people between now and especially the early bird deadline. So it's getting people excited to get registered, and it's also reaching out to those potential breakout presenters that you know that would really make a contribution directly in keeping with our themes. You could tell from all of us that were on the call today at noon that we are perfectly excited and content and comfortable with where we are on all the headliners. Now, what we need to complement this to make the event the way we really want it to be is to get people from the trenches to talk about their experiences and engage colleagues in conversation about what works, what doesn't. People get inspiration from headliners, but I think they get day-to-day courage from people like themselves. They see that there are peers that have tried stuff, that have moved through a period of struggle, but come out in a good place on the other side. And I know that we'll see those sorts of presentations if we're intentional about them. You all know the really good practitioners of authentic learning in your own settings, and reaching out to them and getting them to tell their story and in an interactive way would be a huge favor. And I'm going to really ask you to be very deliberate today when the meeting ends, and I'll repeat this at the end, but to walk away from today saying to yourself, here are the 2 or 3 things that I can do in the next 2 weeks to keep this moving forward and to keep the momentum rolling. We need to be really explicit about those next steps so that we don't lose any traction here.
The materials that went out for call for presenters had March 14th or March
24th.
24th as the deadline, but we are hopeful that you will identify people in your own district or in your own work, as Ellen said, that would be great presenters, and we'll extend that deadline. We're trying to have a time where people felt some sense of urgency, but now we're going to really target some presenters, breakout presenters that we know we want, that you want to be representing your district. And also think about administrators who are leading authentically, and that would be great presentations. We've already got a few, and we'd love to have more along those lines. So both authentic instruction and authentic leadership.
It's very helpful to if you shoot us an email when you reach out to people and tell us who you reached out to, and just a few words about why. That way, when their proposals come in, we'll know that they're coming in as a result of your invitation, and that will be received a little differently, of course, than something coming in blind. So if you're doing that sort of contacting, just keep us up to date on that. I'm curious to hear from some of you in the districts how you where you feel you are with generating interest and beginning to get teams together. Keith, what can you tell so far?
Honestly, I think for us, I'm putting the PO in place. So at the district level, then I can just tell people to reference that PO when they register, unlike last year where we were kind of doing it after the fact. So I just want the PO in place so that they know that. There might be 1 or 2 things changing in UA right now, which make life interesting. I don't know if you knew that. There's a couple, just the entire top leadership portion of the district. So
just the top 3.
I mean,
you're there.
Not a big deal. Erin's here, so everything.
Good, Erin.
She's got it, right? Erin, you got it under control.
Denise, we're going to get all future advice from you because you're the only one that looks calm right now.
Keith had lunch with me today. He knows the sweat was pouring off my forehead.
Denise doesn't break. Like, she'll stay in that face no matter what. She's good. She's like solid. Just don't play poker with her. Play with me.
Or me.
So, I mean, once that PO is in place, we're just gonna, I think my hope is to really say to principals, we heard the feedback from your staff who came. So we didn't have that huge administrative registration last year, but you've heard from your staff. Here's what they've said. Here are the dates, here's the PO, we need to do the registration and really then start to force the issue. With the changes, I think Denise and I have some pull. So Denise is going to tell them do it or, else, right, Denise?
You're going to take their life.
Right.
Yeah, I'll just shut off your internet access.
Turn in your device and I'm shutting off your internet access.
Well, and this is the other thing that I was going to say, as you develop strategies for getting people on board, share those with us and we'll pass them on to the team. So apparently, shutting down internet access is one strategy that we could maybe, use throughout the districts. That sounds good.
I'm changing my title to academic affairs as well, because I think that appropriate, like the affairs that we have to deal with. And like, this is all the stuff that comes at you. And then look what happens. Brian's just like, yeah, you're going. This is our admin retreat, like end of story.
Yeah. Wow. Scott, what are you thinking in terms of Reynoldsburg?
So I had some discussions last week with our superintendent and assistant superintendent about how we can incentivize our principals to start to put together teams to bring to this.
Good.
I kind of understand what Keith is saying about needing that administrative input there too, right? So I really want our admin teams to put together teams that they will bring along with them to this.
And Steve, if you can hear me, it sounds like Bexley will be in good shape again.
Yeah, I think we'll be pretty similar to last year. We have 4 of our 5 principals, a team from every school, central office folks.
All right, great. So Kenny, I didn't get a chance to acknowledge when you came in before, but welcome. And I know that you have some contacts from the work that you're doing. Is there a chance that you'll be able to attract some folks to sign up, you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once some of the speakers, I know the headline speakers have been locked in, but some of the sessions, if we can relate it back to some of the work that we're doing in those districts, would be great.
Good. Dan, do you want to weigh in at all on any recommendations from your vantage point to for us to drum up enthusiasm, get as much participation as possible?
I think continuing the conversations with Jill Reinhardt and her representative on the committee and Cindy Eldridge is what's most critical, because they do host the curriculum supervisors from across the region. So that seems to be the best avenue there. We still don't seem to have a oiled machine to reach all building administrators in the region, but I think I agree with Scott. I think that's really up to central office leadership in each district to instill that excitement. So yeah, but we'll just keep working with Jill and Cindy and make certain they're bringing up with the cohort.
That'll be great. And then just advise us if there are particular steps that we need to take in working with them as well. Okay.
And Angie couldn't be on today. I don't think she's coming late, but Angie Allen from Grandview, they're also incentivizing participation from Grandview as well. So we expect to have more people from there this year than previous years.
Yes, definitely. So Emmy, do you want to talk about City Barbecue at all there? You're muted, I think.
There we go. We've been presented with a couple of ideas that we just really wanted to throw out to you. Somehow our name has made it to the list of this is an organization worth soliciting. So we're like really proud of that. But Krispy Kreme and City Barbecue have contacted us about the opportunity to do fundraiser work. And so, the City Barbecue is like you pick an evening and then everybody who dines there from 5 to 9 o'clock at night, 20% of the proceeds go to partnerships. We were thinking that something like that might be an interesting pre-conference where we could get together, we could be there all evening, but it's a way as a fundraiser, but also to kick off some of the work. We kind of want to run that by you, see if there's a red flag or a reason you think not to do something like that. And then the other one is Krispy Kreme, where it's everybody who registers, basically you get a QR code or a code. And if you purchase donuts with that code, a proceed goes back to partnerships. We thought maybe this is something that we share out at the Summer Institute for back to school. So for every administrator who's making all of the donut runs at the beginning of school, this is a way to do that and kind of continue the work of the Summer Institute. But again, if this feels like sales pitchy, if it feels in any way that's kind of like a red flag for you, we'd like to know that. Or if you think, no, that sounds like a great idea, we'd kind of like to hear your thoughts on that too.
We checked, we were thinking that if indeed we do any kind of promotion with Krispy Kreme, that we would actually purchase some donuts to supplement the regular breakfast on the opening day of the Institute, if that was okay with the.
Oh, I was hoping they'd donate them.
Well, I don't know. They may in the
I
end.
haven't talked to them, so we'll see.
They may, but we had to clear that with UA Food Services to make sure that the donuts didn't cause a conflict of interest. And I was informed that it was just fine with them, but not to be surprised if the cook stole a box. And we said that would be fine. But what are your thoughts about opportunities like that? Do you think that is a little bit of surprise and delight, or too much commercialism, or or are you neutral?
I don't have any objection at all. There's one perspective.
Okay.
Sounds nice.
Jen Leahy, you're the first person I've ever known who's neutral about donuts. Does anybody have issues like it makes you feel yucky? Because we will have no yuck here.
Will there be other choices there for people that are really conscious about what they
Oh
consume?
God, yes.
It'll be like last
Yeah.
year.
We would serve the regular meal and just have some donuts available as an extra. And the only reason for doing it would be to call attention to the promotion for the school year.
Yeah, because then you would get a code in whatever order you would make for your district, or your team, whatever, then a portion of that would come back as a fundraiser to partnerships.
Yeah, the morning breaks and lunches will be similar to last year. We wouldn't reduce what we were doing with Upper Arlington. This would just be it, kind of thinking about the best of Columbus. If you're traveling in and you're not from here, those are a couple things that we're known for.
Any other
I
reactions?
think Jenny's Ice Cream should also
Well, sorry.
want to give us something, but
I mean, I can reach out.
she's a UA grad.
Yes, she is. She is. Do y'all have any other reactions to that before we move on here? Okay, so if you look under priorities for continued planning, you can see the sorts of things that are on our minds going forward. And we've already talked about the first three items, which I think are by far the most important: getting your own people as excited as possible, thinking about who else in education here or far, and thinking about potential breakout presenters. It has also come up in the last two meetings that we've had that it's very important to all of us to keep the lively, unpredictable, joyful spirit of this event alive, and maybe even better than last year, but at least as good. And that takes some good ideas. And so we want you to absolutely keep thinking about how we add a little surprise and delight. What can we do that will be unexpected, that will just keep people on their toes in a good way and excited? And also, what can we do with the arrival experience to make people feel welcome and make sure there is vitality there? That may be kids or adults doing things, that may be music, that may be visual stuff or tactile stuff that people can do. Jen, I know that you all have really worked hard at that at the Art Museum. And we would love to schedule a separate conversation with you about that and get some ideas. And any of the rest of you that would like to weigh in on that, arrival experience and the whole surprise and delight thing, let us know and we'll make sure that you're part of that conversation as well.
Scott, since you weren't there last year, Buddy Berry, as part of his presentation, talked about surprise and delight, and that is a thing that really goes through their entire school year. And interestingly enough, we probably heard from more participants from last year that when they went back to school, they incorporated the whole concept of surprise and delight in some way. I mean, it really resonated with people. So we're trying to pick some of the things that were kind of takeaways from last year and incorporate them. And so, you know, we just need ideas.
Emmy, do you want to comment on that at all?
Well, I was just going to say, with the idea of surprise and delight, one of the things that we are looking at is both through promotional with social media. Once this is designed, like, you know, if you forward our post or you push out the work that we're doing, then you're registered to win a t-shirt, and that's being designed with a penguin, some surprise and delight, maybe a penguin dancing on top of a polar bear. I'm not sure where the graphics are going to end with that. But also it looks like that once you register, you'll then have an opportunity. You could go in and purchase your own t-shirt with the penguin surprise and delight prior to the conference, and then pick it up when you're there. So, you know, hopefully that's like a unique piece. And then also looking at a couple of things where, are there ways we can have some surprises throughout the day? Like, you know, maybe check under your seat because today there's a such and such under, you know, under your chair or something like that. So if you can think of continued surprise and delight, we'd like to incorporate those into the days.
I know, Jen, we came to the art museum for, my son was in town, and we came for the Where the Wild Things Are exhibit, which was, if you haven't been there to see it, it's wonderful. But I know that there are things like that are kind of half hidden around the museum, and you can find, you know, I think you take a photo, I can't remember how that worked, and then you when you find them around there. So it was just some things that I thought, even, you know, ideas that the art museum is doing that makes you look around and engages you as you go through. So
yeah, observation, wonder, curiosity, all of those as catalysts. Those are big ideas at the museum. I think that makes a lot of sense. We do have a Lego scavenger hunt, which might be something that you were thinking of. We've got, unfortunately, the Maurice Sendak exhibition closed yesterday. So, but the Wonder Room is still open. That's another place where we like to use the environment, opportunities, provocations to get people, just sort of interrupt people's flow through the day, get them to experience a moment of awe. So yeah, the Buddy Berry piece really resonated with us in terms of, you know, what are the conditions in which we can cultivate curiosity and engagement. So yeah, I'd love to have further conversations. The connectors, these like hands-on activities that are designed with particular learning outcomes in mind that we use throughout our spaces, bringing that kind of approach to the design of the time of the environment to encourage noticing, wondering, imagination.
Keith,
that's great.
One of the things that you can help with in that regard is we need to know, you know, last year there were a lot of limitations on what could be touching the walls because the paint was still curing in the building and so forth. We need to know what is okay and not okay in case we, you know, have places where we ask people to post their impressions of something, or if we're building a piece of collective art using individual pieces that fit into a mosaic or something. But if we're going to do something creative on a wall, we need to know if we can do it, and if so, where.
I'm pretty sure Andrew would be fine with us doing a mural on Golden Bear Boulevard.
Yeah, right.
Whatever you want on Golden Bear Boulevard would totally be fine. I think we can get that clarification from Chris Potts, but I know that we're past the point where
Okay.
we had to let all of that cure. So I know that people have been allowed to start doing more in that space
Okay.
than they were last
Okay.
year.
All right, good to know. Emmy, do we need input at this point about potentially reaching out to higher ed to engage some pre-service people? What would you like to do about that?
Yeah, we have reached out to a couple of places and even through like OEA's aspiring teachers with no real response. So if people have a contact in higher ed of teacher prep programs, that would be a good place to reach out. That would be really helpful information.
What we were trying to do is, we want this conference to be something that inspires people to stay in the profession. That's something we're all worried about right now, of losing teachers. And so this was to re-engage them in the joy of teaching. But our thought was, if we could identify a number of pre-service kids that could come and see what education could really be like, that we were going to sponsor them, or they could come for free. And so if we could just identify, you didn't get anything from that OEA person?
I reached out a couple of times with no response.
I'll contact the person that gave that to me and tell her. She's kind of a bulldog on stuff, so.
Brian, thank you for the.
Well, and I think within our steering committee, the two people that have the best chance of thinking this through with this would be Kristen, and especially in terms of Otterbein, and then Aaron, you in terms of your work with the placement of student teachers, because we're really looking at pre-service students that are very close to the end of their career, so that they've had enough training that this immersion in the institute would make the most sense. So
Dan has a contact too that
Okay.
he's suggesting. in the
Okay.
chat. Yeah.
I'm adding it to our notes.
Okay,
Great.
all right, good. Well,
Who
that
should I send the contacts to?
Hmm?
Who do I send the contacts to?
Send them to Emmy.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could send it to me.
yeah. Okay, so the next thing to be thinking about, and we don't need to come to closure today, but we will certainly want to be decisive about these things when we meet in April and make some progress toward that point. The experiences that we might want to provide to get people excited before July. Also the sorts of resources we might suggest to them, like here's a great article, here's a great podcast, here's a great video. If you're trying to get in the mood, here's some things that will get you excited before the Institute. So, we'll be looking for a limited series of things to call attention to some of the same themes, but in a different way. We had talked at one point about maybe ahead of the Institute offering a virtual meet and greet for people who would like to get in breakout discussions around a couple of topics beforehand. There are pros and cons to that, but that was something that had been brought up before. And in terms of the in-person event, if we did something at City Barbecue, that might serve that need. Also, we want to already be thinking about what comes right after the Institute and into next school year, because keeping in mind this is a catalyst and it will lead us into our next year-round cycle of support for people. And so we want to be ready. We want I-teams to have a stronger framework and work more efficiently next year. We'll be expanding the virtual visits. We're thinking about some other special film broadcasts or webinars that we might do. But all we're asking of you today is think about what else would be productive, inspiring, effective in the course of next school year, so that we're thinking about how do we get the most people signed up? How do we build the strongest breakout program that we can at the Institute? How do we get people ready to arrive there with maximum excitement? And what do we have ready in place to follow the Institute next school year? I think that's enough to think about for today. Do you?
I've got one thing I wanted to share, especially for those of you who are in school districts. There will be a graduate class. They can register at the Summer Institute or before to take the graduate class. It's 2 semester hours through Ashland at a reduced rate. And I think we had 80 people last year. And so if you need information to put in your district, LPDC, I never know, Erin, what am I asking?
You're doing it right. You're just asking for the description that might go to the districts so that the different LPDCs can have some information for approvals and that kind of thing.
It's on our website now in the Summer Institute. There's a button that you can click for graduate credit, and it will describe everything there. But if you need other information, it seemed like everybody got registered okay last year, and it worked well. But if you need anything ahead of time, don't hesitate to ask me.
What else is on your minds today, folks? Anything that we can answer that would be useful? See, I'm going to trade you an hour. The hour from now until 4 o'clock, I'm going to get back from you when you watch the video of the 12 o'clock call today. Because it'll be worth your while. It'll be worth your while. Do you need anything else from us? Okay, so our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, April 27th here at our house, if all goes well. You should tune into your email pretty closely, just in case we try to bump the start time back to 1 o'clock on that one, since that will be the time that we're really close to finalizing what the schedule looks like. And last year, that meeting was a really productive one, but it took a while. So 2 to 4 for sure, maybe backed up a little bit. But we hope you'll be in touch with us between now and then, letting us know who you're reaching out to for breakouts, letting us know what questions you're encountering in the field, anything that we can be helpful with.
If you need any social media, like graphics or information that we've been using on ours to use in your networking, let me know, because we've got a lot of that now. And like Keith, Michelle Johnson's going to do a short video about why people should come, and I thought you might want to share that in Upper Arlington. Brian's going to do it. Everybody's going to want to use Brian's.
Anything else, folks?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, absolutely.
You said it's kind of a soft deadline for presenters if we have people that we're recruiting.
Yes.
Do you have a hard deadline for presenters?
I'm gonna say no.
Well, I'm gonna
now Ellen's gonna override that. Here's what I'm thinking is that last year we were still plugging in people. Now we expect to have more people in attendance this year than last, but also a lot of people expressed that they wish more people had repeated their sessions because they felt like there was so many good sessions every hour or 2 hours that they had to pick, and then they couldn't they were never offered again, or not many of them were. So we're going to try to repeat more of them this year, which means we don't need a huge number more than what we had last year. But I think we want the deadline to be whatever we get the best presentations from people that you know, that you'd love for them to be involved. But at some point in the not too distant future, we're gonna have to start plugging people in, so I don't wanna.
Let me offer this as a guide. The original deadline, the soft deadline was March 24th. If we can get stuff really in by the 14th of April, that gives us 10 days to play with the schedule before we meet with you all here at the house. And that would be very helpful. So if you can strive to get stuff in our hands by April 14th, that will work.
Part of our issue was this hit everybody's spring break,
Mhm.
you know, when the spring breaks are really spread out this year. And so, you know, it's very possible that we'll have lots of great ones in by that next deadline. And then we may find we need one more or two more. And so then we'll come back to you and
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah. Two other things. Nicole, if you don't mind, I noticed that Kristen had to get off, but she and I were gonna talk on this link at the conclusion of the meeting. So I'm gonna leave this link open for a while, and she can either hop back on or she can email me that she wants to reschedule.
They may not.
Okay, I'll shoot her a text message real quick and let her know
Yeah,
that.
she's got it. Okay, thank you. And the other thing is, Jen Leahy, if you want to compare calendars, you can stay on for a minute or, yeah, that work? Okay. We love the rest of y'all too, but you can go. Thank you for this time. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Kathy and Ellen, one quick question.
Mhm.
So, since we're hosting, are we gonna be at a similar rate as last year when I get this PO in place for people?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
but
I
you,
just want to make sure I have enough money in the
Yeah.
PO to make sure that I've covered it. So,
yeah,
What I would do, just so that I think the answer is definitely yes, but you might want to just shoot Emmy a text or an email that says you touch base with us at the end and asked about having the same rate as host, and just make sure she's in the loop.
cool. I mean, we used most of what I put in on a PO last year, so I'm assuming I need to do slightly more this year. And
Mhm.
honestly, the changes aren't a bad thing. Like, I actually just kind of need people to go. So that I
Sure,
can actually
sure.
get more
Yeah.
control. So,
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
well, and as long as, I mean, I think more people in the district have the dates earlier than what they had last year. So at least, you know, they
we're,
can't.
we're still in this awkward phase, like, so hopefully it'll change very quickly here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think what's good is I can lean on now the experience teachers had last year, right? So as an administrator, your teachers had this experience, so we'll push it.
well, and Kathy Jenny was gonna try to get us with the new superintendent when he comes to town, so.
I have a meeting with him next week too. I have 2 hours with him on Monday, so that's good.
Good. Just so he at least has it on his calendar to consider welcoming people. You know, if he can't do it, he can't do it. But what I'm afraid of is by the time we meet with them.
If you want to zoom us in for 15 or 20 minutes of that, Phil, just let us know what the timing is.
My God.
Leave it to Ellen. Like, I just wish she were more persistent. I will be taking the full 2 hours that I get with the new superintendent.
Okay.
Not giving
Okay.
any of those 2
All
hours.
right, all right,
up. So, all right.
All right.
take care.
Thank you.
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Things